Welcome to JB Trio Podcast, Season 6, Episode 9. I'm Lee McDonald Jr.
Chris, the comeback kid, Woodmancy.
Mark, the Ancient Warrior Merchant.
And joining us tonight, we've had another guest tonight, 3 weeks in a row, Mr. Jarrod Gallegos, the president of USBC. Welcome, Jarrod.
All right.
How are y'all doing today?
Oh, pretty good. Thanks for joining, bud. We appreciate it. Sorry for the last second notice.
Not a problem.
We wanted to have you on tonight because we had position round last week, and for the second week in a row, y'all have taken 40 points. And y'all haven't taken over first yet, but have come dangerously close, only 5 points outside of first. And you guys are definitely trending to be the next first place team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. I mean, obviously, if you ain't first, you're last. You know what Ricky Bobby said.
Hey, so
Well, you definitely got a lot of fans, but you also definitely got a lot of anti-fans, a.k.a. Chris.
Yeah, there's only one team that I think doesn't like us, and he's on the call tonight.
Yeah.
I hardly think that's not one team. I think it's like literally, as I honestly say, it's about like 7 teams.
17.
7 teams. Gotta be 7 teams on there.
I think
At
there's
least
maybe 7 teams in the whole AMF bowling alley that may like Chris's team.
Exactly. That's a true statement.
Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight, Jarrod. I hope Chris Probes isn't too proby.
When I'm probing Jared.
Yeah, you're probing Jarrod.
Okay.
You probe every guest.
Okay.
We try to keep you from probing people, but you just love probing people.
You're right.
All right, so last week we already talked about Jarrod's team. Let's go over the rest in the fastest 3 minutes of bowling. All right, so it starts out. All right, Team 6 fought Team 9 right off the bat. First place against second place. That's Jarrod's team, Slate's Rockheads against Three Fingers Deep. That's Rick and them. And like we stated earlier, Jarrod's team had a great week. They won 40 out of 48. Currently still sitting in second, but only 5 points behind. They really cut into that lead. So good job. Kudos to Jarrod's team.
Without
Third
Rick.
place.
Without Rick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the next pair was Team 5. That's Slate's Sloppy Seconds. That's Mark's team. Bowled against Team 3, Wicked Trio. Both teams are on a hot streak coming into Tuesday, and it was sort of a kiss your sister night, and Mark's team won 28 out of 48, so kudos to Mark's team. And then we have Team 4, which is Blame It on the Alcohol, against Team 12, the men in the 10 pin. They ended up splitting exactly, so that was 24-24. That was an exact kiss your sister night. And then there's that team that everybody, all 7 teams love, Team 10. Put your thumb in it, which is Chris and Jake and Phil, went up against Team 13, his favorite other team, BD in the Pocket. And Chris took the victory. That's 34 to 48. So Chris's team's moving up. They are currently sitting in 4th. Good job, Chris. Team 11, that's Ricky and the 2 Mix. Faced my team again. That's Who You Calling the Pinhead. And oddly enough, Who You Calling the Pinhead prevails again. 44 out of 48 and dominated. They are also climbing up the charts. The next pair ended up not showing in the records because we're waiting on a post bowl. So Team 15 against Team 2. That's 15 house ball, or excuse me, Team 2 house balls was the ones free bowling. They went up against Team OG, who had bowled Tuesday, but the scores are not entered. So we're just waiting to get all the scores entered from both sides. Next pair was Team 7. There was S Team. That's our Vice President, Chris Saunders, and his wife, and Diego, against Leland's team. Against Leland's team, Team 14, where practically nobody showed up that night because of Halloween. Leland was the only one that bowled. The other team bowled as a post bowl. However, Leland's team, we had to take blind scores. And because Leland was all by himself, he struggled. Their team, once the blind scores were entered, they only ended up winning 5 out of 48. So Chris Saunders and his team overcame. And the last pair, Team 8, Pin High. against Team 16, almost empty nest. And another Kiss Your Sister. Nobody felt like winning that night. It was Halloween. Everybody was happy on candy. So 24 out of 24. Standings, 3 fingers deep, 285 in first. Slate's Rockheads catching them right behind them at 280. Team 5 is in third. Mark's team, they jumped up. They're at 249. Put your thumb in it right behind them, only 5 points behind. And that is Chris's team. They're currently in fourth.
Oh,
Blame It on the Alcohol got knocked down to 5th place. They're at 241. Wicked Trio got knocked down to 6th. They're at 238. The Men in the 10 Pin climbed up to 235. They're in 7th. BD in the Pocket at 218 and 8th. And Who You Calling a Pinhead was in last place a couple weeks ago. Now above 500 in 9th place at 217. Yep. And Ricky and the Two Mix unfortunately dropped down to 10th place. They were, I believe, in the top 5 last 2 weeks. And they are at 202. The S team climbing up 196 and 11th. Pin High in 12th place, 171. Almost Empty Nest, 163 and 13th. Team OG in 14th, 157 tied with them. Team 2 House Balls, 157 and Team Timmy, Leland's team. Last place, 155. Now keep in mind, Team OG and House Balls have yet to have their blind scores in, so that could change. The one thing that isn't changing, Team Timmy, last place. They are guaranteed to be in last.
And keep in mind, this is a banquet league, so
We may have to kick them out of the banquet after that.
yeah. I saw house balls down there this afternoon, so
They both so. I think once we get their scores in, they'll probably be another Kiss Your Sister.
okay, yeah, because they were down there this afternoon.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. We'll have some news about the results. We've been waiting on Nick's results for the big bracket, so we should have that in shortly. But so, gentlemen, we have reached the halfway point of the halfway point. So at week 18 is when the half ends. We just bowled week 9. How's everybody feeling about your standings?
pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with the work we done.
Yeah, I know that team 10 was very happy that Chris didn't show up last week.
they're pretty bummed because if I was there, we would have took easy 46.
Now, Jarrod probably may attest to this, but he saw the placement for Chris last week. That was David Carter, and I guess David had not bowled in many, many years. But if you bowl in another league, are you allowed to use a book average, or are you allowed to use that average that you're currently bowling, or does it have to be, as far as USBC rules, does it have to be, they have to have a book average?
Yeah,
It really depends on your league rules. But I'm not the rules department, but it does depend on your league rules.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the league rules that you establish.
Yep.
I'm sorry we keep asking you about the league rules, and it feels official. Like, well, man, we got a USBC guy in our league, and it just feels like second nature just to ask you. So,
Yeah.
but,
No, I appreciate that, but yeah, definitely. I always try to steer away from the rules questions only because I'm not. We've got 5 people at the headquarters that handle that stuff, and I let them do their due diligence, and they're great.
Well,
they're all great folks.
that's cool.
Okay, well, maybe you ought to ask him. I mean, I look at it like if you got more than 21 games and you're in Denton County and the league's in Denton County, that's the average you got to go with.
Yeah, unfortunately, in our own league rules, we don't have anything that specifies current season. It's only book average from last season or JV trios from last summer or last fall.
Correct. So when we establish that rule in our league, then we can make it official, but we haven't.
Yeah.
Is it in writing? I mean, is it?
It is. It's sworn by our blood on our sacred oath.
I need to look at. I'd like to look at that.
Sorry, said and done. Can't open it until the end of the year.
I'd like to look at that because I get a feeling that there's just no rules, so you would have to go with your high average in Denton County.
Plus, you won't be able to read it. You might need your bifocals to see the words.
No, I'm pretty sure there's nothing in black and white there.
It's all in black and white. It's on white paper with black letters.
Well, and the reason why we bring it up is because as it stands, David, who bowls Thursday in the Rising Stars League at AMF, his average has varied from 220 to 250 through, I think they're in 9 weeks like us. So he's a high average bowler, and I saw him bowl. He's probably, I'd say, lifetime averages above 215. I mean, he's got that high of an average. But the controversy is that he bowled like crap Tuesday. He bowled really bad, and he set an average because he hasn't bowled in so many years. I think Chris said maybe anywhere near 10 years.
Use time.
Does have a Denton County book average, though, right? He bowled 21
No,
games.
he hadn't bowled. This is his first year back.
First year
He's
back.
comeback.
Well, I mean, he has an official average in Denton County over 21 games, right?
Well, he has an average, yes. He just does not have a book average, and he's not on bowl.com. The problem is that if we were to use the book, we have to make it fair for everybody. So we usually have to go with what's on our league rules. And I believe USBC rules, they govern when it's outside of your league rules, which they don't have anything about a current year as far as league goes. I think they do for tournaments, but not for league.
There'll be something in there for establishing. So you'll just have to look in the rule book for under establishing average, and it'll say in there what that consists of if the league rules don't cover that.
So this may be something that we have to maybe mark the calendar once the year is ending, that if the league feels like they need to install a new rule change.
Wait, seriously, I can go against Jarrod? He's not anchored on his team?
That's that might be a possibility.
It'd be an advantage. It'd be an advantage for me. I mean, if you want to give me an advantage, Chris, I mean, I'm okay with that.
I'm just saying that's the only way we could ever bowl against each other because you're not ever anchored.
It's funny. It's funny that you talk still, because I remember last year you were talking, and then I ended up catching you and reading you in average. So
yeah, you see,
I enjoy this.
The main word in that sentence is catching.
Yeah, but I still ended up taking you over in average, and your mentality is it's a sprint, but you don't have the marathon mentality.
Hey, all I need is a sprint, all right? Because whoever comes to my first is wins. That's it.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Jarrod joined about 2.5 years ago during the summer, and Chris has been bowling for maybe 5 to 6 years, so he's got double the years on Jarrod. But it only took Jarrod 2.5 years to shoot 300 in the league. We're still waiting on Chris.
I hear you. I know I did shoot 300. Okay, all right. We keep forgetting about my practice one.
Not in the league.
You forget my practice one. But Jarrod hasn't been bowling in his youth prime. I never did.
Oh God!
And Lee, can you really illustrate the standings of the top 3 averages in the league? Right now?
I was afraid you were going to ask that.
Can you say that?
Is it not embarrassing, though, that you go around telling people that you have the 300 in practice?
I just don't say the last one. I just don't say the last one. I just don't say the last
embarrassing.
I don't.
Mark says he needs to see the ring for proof.
I say I got a 300, and then don't ask what after that. Where?
But you got to let them know the bumpers were up too.
Okay. No, I had the video. I showed them the video. I showed them the video, and bumpers. You can't see the bumpers.
We do see the picture. It's on our Facebook page where you put over the line.
There was a lot of green. Yeah, and there was a lot of green strikes too on the telescope.
Okay, no, not one is in practice.
I had heard some stories about Chris Woodmansey talking prior to this position round, and I had heard the Ancient Warrior tell me a few things, and all I had to do is I was like, I don't think my binoculars focus that far down the center to see where his position is. I had to really focus them because I was like, we're on the first pair in position round, but Woodmansey's on the 8th pair or something. It was way down the list there.
Wow.
I felt bad for Jake and Phil. I was like, man, those guys should deserve to be up here. But
call it the Chris effect. The Chris effect.
And I got to be honest, Chris. It was cold outside that night, and it got a little hard for me to put on my jacket. And you're probably like, well, why did it get hard to put on a jacket? Well, because my 2 hands weighed just a little bit more because of the rings that were on them.
Oh,
burn. You know what? I have a ring, and it wears me down all the time. So
you're not allowed to have fruit roll up on it. All right. So just to answer your
You know what?
question,
Y'all gonna rue the day when I shoot 300. When I shoot 300, y'all better be ready for it. I swear.
we'll roll out the red carpet. If
Freaking
that
hey,
happens, but I wouldn't hold
I'm classy, man. I'll give credit where credit is due, but credit hasn't been due yet, so we'll see.
Yep. That's why the talking needs to stop.
You can ask Lee. You can ask Lee. I've been so close to a 300 so many times.
I believe that.
297. I'll give you that. You had a 297.
Hey, I believe that, man, and I all due respect, but you have to respect to get the respect as well.
Yeah. I believe a famous man once said that.
I just, God almighty.
But to answer your question, Chris, yes, you have cracked the top 3 and have maintained, are only 5 pins below Neil for second.
Yep.
Currently sitting
Neil's on our
first with
team,
high
right,
average at 219. Neil?
Yeah, he's on our team, right?
Yeah. Oh, Garrett's in first at 219.
I'm shocked Joe Bear is not on there because he's the only reason you're in second.
Well, he was there for a minute, and then he fell off, unfortunately. He's at 203.
Yeah, no, why he's
but Neil's in second at 216, and yes, Chris, you're in third at 211.
Oh. And Chris, I'll bet you $20 you don't even crack the top 4 at the end of the year.
Oh,
okay. $20 done.
$20. I'll increase it. You want to do 100? I'll do 100.
100?
I don't think you'll crack the top 4.
No, I mean the kids' piggy bank don't go out that high.
I know. There isn't enough money in the kids' bank.
Yeah, we'll do 20 though. We'll do 20.
All right, 20.
20 is a solid.
You hear it now.
How about you give him odds, Mark? How about if Chris gets 300 before the end of the year, you got to pay him 500.
Oh,
but if Chris doesn't get it, then he's got to pay you 50.
No, not a chance.
Instead, not the end of the year. Let's talk the end of the century.
What?
Oh my God!
Wait, that's not long though for you. So come on.
I don't think I'll be alive to see.
He can put that in his will. He'll give it to
none of us on this call will see it.
No.
Oh man! All right.
You know what, Mark? If you're not there and I shoot 300. I'm just going to put my ring. I'm just going to put a picture of me shooting 300 on your grade.
Yeah, we're not talking Wii bowling either.
Oh, my God. All right, Chris has the results of the big bracket. We're already in round 5 with only 2 more rounds to go. So, Chris, why don't you tell us what happened?
Oh, man, this I wasn't there to watch it on Tuesday, but man, oh man, bowling was close for the brackets for the top 4 contenders. So first of all, we have Tim versus Lee McDonald Jr., our secretary. Tim shot a solid 242. Lee McDonald Jr. fucking shot a 645. Win the game by 3 pins.
Wow.
If I can only
I got to tell you, I've had the easiest path to the Final Four that any tournament has ever seen. It's crazy. Any other bracket had like 2 or 3 700s, and I didn't have one 700 in my bracket. So I've had the easiest path by far. I'm like the lowest seed. I'm like out of the top 48, I'm probably 30th.
Oh wow. Well, you probably are.
I still think an audit needs to be done.
This is Chris's math, so
yeah,
it could be.
It's legit. So next one below that, we have Jake versus Jarrod. And I admit that I voted for Jarrod to win. I voted for Jarrod to win this game because I had high hopes and I thought he was going to ball out. And he did. And he did bowl pretty decent. But Jake, man, what I said when he texted me on Tuesday, he's like, he texted me, you made a bad call voting against me. I'm going to prove you wrong. He texted me that. And boom, Jake shot his first 600 series, bowling one-handed. And, man, he shot a 761 with handicap to Jarrod 682. Jake
Jarrod, it took a guy shooting his first 600 ever and 700 and something to beat him. So
yeah, and Jake did say that he would have never done it if Chris was there. He did say that.
And with the class that I have, I actually shook his hand and said, "Hey, congrats, man." That's how you do it. That's how you do it, Chris. You actually, you try to.
I would have flicked him off. I would have. You know what? I would have pretended to shake his hand, and then right when he was about to grab my hand, I'm like, "Psych! Get the fuck out of here!"
He'd have did like the guy in The Hangover.
Exactly. All right. So
and it's funny that he bowls his highest series in his life on the night that Chris is gone.
Yeah.
Well,
Imagine that irony.
He only felt that because I voted against him. I voted against him.
Oh, that motivated him.
That motivated him because he wanted to prove me wrong.
Because you're a great motivator. I understand.
I am. I'm a great motivator. I try my best. Mm-hmm.
We do have a lot of people that say when they find out they're bowling Chris that night, they say, "Oh man, I'm gonna kick his ass."
And then later that night, if you talk to him, like, "Man, I suck. Man, he kicked my ass. He's a great one. He's a great. He's a great."
In the end, you're third in high average.
Yep, exactly. I'm third in your hearts. Mm-hmm.
All right, what happened with the
next one on the other half? So right now we have Lee versus Jake on the right hand side. Lee McDonald Jr. versus Jake Albright, and then the other half we have Greg versus Larry. Greg shot a 689 to Larry 584. I saw Larry score, and what in the hell happened? This guy came from shooting a 700, 800 series last week, and then boom to a 5 something. If I've never heard of a sandbagger, this is it. What the fuck happened?
I know, Larry.
I can tell you what happened. It was the competition he was up against this week.
Greg Charlton?
That's on the bracket. Heads up bowling, they bowled against Mark's team.
Yeah, that's the deal.
Okay. Well, tell me what happened then. His first game was like in the 150s or something.
Yeah, we put a lot of pressure on him. He was under a great deal of stress.
What did you take his helium tank away from him? What happened?
Oh, we were killing him. He was struggling.
He bought him a pizza like Mike Ensline.
Yeah, you bought him beer and pizza.
Actually, Mike Ensline bought himself a pizza, and that's why their team lost to us. We took 44 off of them. I should have known something was up when Mike bought that pizza.
Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy, man. That's crazy.
That's pretty low for Larry.
That is low. So Greg moves on. Last but not least, we have Phil Lapointe bowling a 632 to Nick Hickey, 643.
Oh,
11 points. 11 pins to take the win.
Insane.
And I had to do the math like 3 times on this one just to verify, but yes, Nick will move on to go against
So my score, I only won by 3, and Nick barely won by 11. Wow.
Yeah, I bet that hurts Phil. 11 pins. Damn it.
Well, Phil's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so he deserves
it. He deserves it.
What a shitty game that was yesterday.
It was shitty. Come on. But that tackle on freaking oh my god, that tackle on the tight end, that was pass interference all day.
I just got mad at the lucky freaking bounces that they had on all the fumbles. Every fumble that happened bounced right back in their freaking hands. That's the problem that I had. They are so freaking lucky. Sick of the Eagles.
Me too. And anyway. I lost a bet to Phil, so I have to cash up tomorrow at the bowling alley.
Well, maybe we'll have to make an announcement for that.
Well, that's the whole point. I have to make an announcement. No, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. I have to make an announcement about the Eagles to everyone.
Yeah. Maybe we'll make it when everybody leaves.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
All right, what's our Final Four look like?
So Final Four, we have Jake Albright versus Lee McDonald fucking Jr. versus, on the other side, we have Greg Charlton versus Nick Hickey.
Wow, 2 people from my team, myself and Greg. How about that? So that's our Final Four. Any predictions, guys, on who do we think is going to win?
To be honest, my vote, man, I got Jake all the way. He's on my team, and he's bowling great.
I'm going to have to pick my teammate as well, Greg. He's been bowling real hot lately. I think that he bowled 700 a couple weeks ago, scratch. And I think he got near a 700 this past week with his handicap. So I'm going with Greg to win it all.
Yeah. But what are the chances that Nick Hickey, a house ball bowler, are we going to
that would be great, wouldn't it?
Are we going to let that happen?
Mark? What do you think, Mark?
Well, with me and Chris handling the books, I think Chris is going to win next week.
He'll write
Somehow.
himself back in.
If only.
Somehow,
If only. If only.
Somehow he'll squeeze right back in there and get the win.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I got to go with.
Say Nick Hickey. Say Nick Hickey. Say it.
I
Just
will.
say it.
I will.
Just
Nick
say
Hickey.
it.
Yeah,
You are
Nick
a loser.
the house ball.
Get out
The
of
house
here.
ball.
Yeah, the house ball.
He throws it like 24 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Oh man, I've always had tough matches with Greg, so I think I'm going to go with Greg on this one.
Good choice. Good
Yeah,
choice.
He's
I
tough
think
to beat,
so.
man.
He is. And he'll be dead focused this upcoming night.
Welcome to Chris Probes the Guest, featuring Jarrod Gallegos. Now, tonight brings you to a nice slow dance song to dance with the tango, Jarrod Gallegos. Now, Jarrod Gallegos, we bring you night on a slow night like this to answer some questions back from bowling. Now, what can you say to your future team within the coming on playoffs? How would you predict this coming season?
Just trying to take first, man. That's the goal.
Hopefully, nobody at your office there hears this podcast. You might be fired.
Oh man.
Hey, I mean, the goal is always to take first, and that's you always want to win as much as you can, and that's the ultimate goal for our team. I feel like we're focused and feel like we're definitely off to a much better. Our team chemistry is better, and it was always good, but I think we just have a really good. We've really gotten used to each other as far as our bowling, and we're definitely we're rolling pretty well as a team. So
I like that. I mean, more of a depth question. Who is the team that is your biggest threat to prevent this from happening? Other than it being the first place team that holds it right now, who's another team that could be a dual threat in your?
It's for me. It's Garrett and Fred and those guys. I think that they were probably our toughest match this year. We lost 48 to Big Rick and George, but to me it was a real slugfest against Garrett's team, and so it was tough. We just didn't have it the night we bowled Rick the first time or his team, and this next round last week we obviously redeemed ourselves, I feel like, and
Sure did.
So I think that Garrett's team is probably the biggest challenge for us.
Hey, it's good to know. I mean, I like that. I mean, Fred, I got the chance to bowl him up the head scratch game. Yeah, he was a good contender. He came back pretty good, but I still end up winning $10 from him. But
why does every story always have to end good for Chris?
Because people need to know.
I told you that he doesn't talk about when he loses, man, because he probably have more. He'd have more stories than the winner.
No, because if I tell the stories on how many times I lost, it would be like 2.
Oh, we'd be here all night, man.
No, it would be 2 quick stories.
We'd be here all night.
Really?
We'd be here all night, and then we have to hear about practice 300s, man. It's like that's like a practice 800, man. I mean, yeah, that's great. But
His 300 was 2 games too.
Okay.
800 was probably
a lot of
4
green
games.
strikes. Oh my god.
So going forward, if you do not win this first half, how is your free agency coming along next year?
I stick with my guys, man. I believe in these guys. I think that they are top notch. Obviously, Neil's up there in average, and Neil. I'll be honest about Neil, man. I mean, and I've had to face Neil, in 2 summers now on this league, and Neil is probably one of the best one-on-one bowlers I think I've seen in a lot of leagues. Like he's a great bracket bowler. There's not a week you don't hear his name in the brackets. He has that mentality, and I think that, when we're all on, we're unstoppable. So I think that, I really got faith in all of us to do it together.
If you had Chris running the back brackets, you would not hear Neil's name at all.
You know what? That's a true
Selective
statement.
selection.
What match was your comeback match, knowing that after what happened, that you knew that you were back in the game, back in the mindset, back with your team chemistry, that you knew that going into the Rick match on the playoff, on the position round, that it was going to be a pretty good match or a pretty contender match?
Are you talking prior to that match?
Yes.
Man, I think that there's always good tune-up matches there. We had some weeks that weren't necessarily easy, but I feel like sometimes weeks where you have to win it by the 9th or 10th frame because, you have to overcome a large amount of handicap, which prior to this position round, there were a couple of weeks there where we had to cut. We were going against 250 sticks or whatever it was. And you have to make that up by the 10th frame. So I feel like, when we were able to do that, and I think I want to say we took 34 or 36, something like that week.
Yeah.
I think
it's been at least a solid month since you guys have even lost. So you guys have been killing it.
Yes, it was tough the handicap matches are the ones that are much harder. You know what you're going to get with scratch bowlers. I mean, you know you're going to get 200 and up bowlers, or even 190 and up bowlers, even 180 guys. I mean, but it's those handicap matches that are wild cards because you got to be able to overcome that. And I feel like you have to strike a little bit more to overcome that, or have to be on point with your spares. That's just the name of the game. The spare shooting is everything. So
true.
You miss them, you better strike to make up for it. So I feel like it was those matches that led up to facing Rick's team, and I knew I'd be going against, I think, Logan again. That said, he beat me the first time we faced them in very close matches. So I already had that chip on my shoulder, and Logan can bowl really good. So it's one of those things where, I had to make sure it was a 10 frame match, not losing it by the 5th. And so that's what I did. And I ended up winning all my points.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys are definitely the team of determination this half, coming from the deficits that you guys started. It's like you guys had only 8 weeks to catch up, and everybody else had 9. So y'all, testament to your team. You guys hung in there and toughed it out.
So would you like a stuffed animal or a keychain for first?
I just want that first place money, man. That's all that matters.
Yeah, coming out soon, probably about a week or 2 weeks.
This is a banquet league.
Hey, Mark, 2 steak dinners, versus 1, man.
Hey, 2 steak dinners.
Yeah.
So this is not a JV Trio kind of question. Now, with you joining the USBC for a long time now, you've been a part of it. Now, do you see anything else furthering your bowling career other than JV Trios, bowling one Tuesday a week? What more are you doing on the outside of your bowling career?
Nothing, man. I mean, my days of that are behind me. I think that I was in it. A little story about me, like I used to bowl 2-3 leagues at a time. When I was much younger, I was in 19, 20 to 23 or so, somewhere 24. And so I think that for me, it's about enjoying the people around you, enjoying the league, and the camaraderie there, and the fun moments and laughs. And for me, so my time in those moments have passed, but I just like to enjoy the sport now. And as far as USBC goes, I've been with them for 7 months now. And so it's just it's learning that side of it as far as, the ins and outs of associations. And that's what I deal with on a daily basis. So I think that for me, it's just about having fun with it and continuing to learn and grow within the organization, and continuing to learn. I'm still learning things that I never thought, or maybe I thought I knew, and I learned different perspectives on different things. So that's what I'm doing now.
I like that.
That's pretty cool.
So one more question, last one to finish off. Will you say Tuesday is the best league you ever joined and part of?
I'll tell you what, in all honesty, I've bowled different leagues. I've bowled scratch leagues. I've bowled handicap leagues. I've done them all. But, as far as this group of people that is on this league, I probably haven't been around a lot of groups of people that are like this one. And I think that that's a testament to the league and the job that Lee does, and Mark and you, and you guys. I know we all give each other a hard time, but it's one of those.
It's all in fun.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's all fun, and it for me it's about fun. Especially a 9:30 league, man. People got to get up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. So that's already a downer. But at the same time, that's the reason I keep coming back, because I could easily join a 6:30, 7 o'clock league and go to bed at normal time. But I like bowling with all of you guys. Again, it's fun, and you just make it enjoyable. So for me,
Thank you.
Don't you get tired of hearing that practice 300 game?
I do. I do. I mean, I check the system every day to see if Chris Woodmansey has a registered 300, and I notice it's blank. So it's kind of fun.
No honor.
Wow.
Honor scores 0. Oh.
Wow. This is hurting.
Like I said, you could be waiting a century.
I know, but I do. You can go on bowl.com and see Lee McDonald Jr. and Mark Merchant and Jarrod Gallegos, and you go under the honors tab at bowl.com, and you'll see some scores. But Chris Woodmansey is
all zeros. Well, no honor scores for third place in high average.
In the words of the great Paul McCartney, just let it be.
Oh my God!
I got a USBC question, sort of, not really about like your personal job or anything, but what does USBC, if any, have coming out in the future for maybe league bowlers or anything? And the reason why I ask is because I've had an idea, not the best idea, but I've talked about it at some meetings with some of our local association. Everything now is a plus. Everything is like Netflix Plus or Walmart Plus or whatever Plus. I always thought that maybe USBC should work with the bowling alleys, come up with some sort of a plus program, maybe something for like open bowlers. You pay like maybe $30 a month and you get like hours of open play, or maybe even unlimited open play. And then for league bowlers, we pay so much in lineage anymore. It's crazy. League bowlers are so worried about the funds and things of that sort, how much they're paying in league fees, let alone having to pay for that and the prize fund. If they did something like $99, but that covers unlimited league bowling, that covers the lineage part with the bowling alley. Of course, they'll still have to pay the extra fees for the prize fund. But has USBC got any ideas or got anything coming out in the future that we can look forward to?
I think that the best answer to that question is it really falls on the proprietor. Your AMFs and Boleros, obviously Bolero owns all of those. So it's really going to fall on the proprietor to work those kinds of things, especially on the bowling side, where obviously we come in standard rules, governance, future for the sport, that sort of thing, so where your membership pays for a lot of different things, and I'm more than happy to explain those at a different time. But it's one of those things where I think that the question you're asking probably falls more on the proprietor than it does USBC. But, I'm more than happy to take the suggestion and say, hey, I don't know how this fits within USBC, but, maybe there's something there that I can at least suggest it and see what they say. But I don't know. That is a USBC question.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that. More the proprietary part of it. I know that AMF is like one of the last big corporations that owns bowling alley, so maybe something they could do a joint venture on or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we have great partnerships with Bolero, and so there's that. And obviously, you guys know all about the PBA and that partnership, I'm sure. So with them and Bolero, and we're great partners with the PWBA. So, I mean, like there's different things that are out there in that regard. And then, everybody here probably knows about Bowl TV, but it's just, there's a lot of different benefits to the membership, and like I said, I can go into that when we're at league, but it's one of those things where I feel like it's a more proprietary question that you're asking. And I would love to see that too. I'd love to see some different things being offered from the bowling center as well, from the days when I worked at AMF, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But it's a different time now, and you got to just respect where that lies, and then,
exactly
call it good.
Same here. I worked at AMF Louisville in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's where I met my wife. She worked in the playroom, and that's where she took care of little Chris Woodmansey, who was 5 years old. She was 17 and 18, and she was the head playroom attendant. And I think she was an assistant playroom attendant, but she'd take care of little 5-year-old Chris, and she'd probably tell us stories about how he threw those tantrums and everything.
No.
Didn't Neil say last week he was still sucking on his mom's tit then?
I don't know about that. Jeez.
I mean, I suck on Camilla's now. So we're done.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh,
So that's what you were doing earlier. Okay. I
Oh,
see.
yeah.
I got a couple of questions, but I don't want to get Jarrod fired.
Dang.
Well, hey, I've been asked a lot of things, man. There's no way you would.
No, when are they going to sanction string bowling? Any idea?
That we already have. Currently have 15 centers that are string pin certified. There are currently four manufacturers that make certified string pins, and it's really across the country. The 15 centers that have already gotten approved. Now there are centers out there that have non-certified string pins. So it's our certification sticker is, I believe, on the 7-pin side of the back of the machine. So, that there are already some certified strings out there, and the ones obviously at headquarters are certified as well. But I encourage you guys, if you're interested in, looking at that, bowl.com/string pin setters. If you want to, learn more about that and watch the video on the research on that. But yeah, it has.
I bowl. Actually, my brother is a secretary of league out in Malden, Mass, that have string bowling, and so I've bowled on it many a times, subbing in that league. It's a 32-lane house, but string bowling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was as of August 1st, it officially became certifiable as long as they were the certified machines. Now, like I said, there's some that are not certified out there so those leagues are not certified. So, but the ones that are certified machines, those can be certified leagues. And, there will eventually be an announcement in the future here about a potential average conversion if necessary. You'll see that coming out in the future. And, as far as that goes, if there is one. So,
yeah, good.
That sounds great. What was that website again?
It's just bowl.com/string pin setters. So
nice.
Yeah, so you can go. It's under the equipment specs tab. So all the equipment specs. But there's about a 9-minute video from Tom Frenzel. He reviews it goes into depth what they can, the research they did, and and like I said, that's all part of the things that the membership pays for those sorts of things. So people always ask questions. Yeah, so when we pay our league dues, we're not just paying league dues to be able to shoot an honor score. We're paying for a lot of things that happen in Arlington that they're researching and continuing to evolve. Because you think about it this way. We look at string pins. We talk to people this way. Think about the transition from wooden lanes to synthetics. And how many years that's taken.
Yeah.
With string pins, I'm not sitting here saying that's going to be, it's going to hit you in the face, everywhere, because it's really going to be up to the market and the proprietor, what they want to do. But we're here to say, hey, in order to keep our game going, we're going to have to really, we had to take a solid look at this and what was fair, and to make it most like free fall. And
yes,
I can tell you that I don't know if you guys participated in the study at headquarters, but if you did, then you probably saw that there it really isn't that much different. I bowled on them myself, so yeah, they're not much different than free fall.
Cool.
Hey, Chris, I think you can get a replica 300 ring at the gift shop out there too.
Okay, well, I'm glad they're just giving them out now.
All right.
Here we go with another episode of Beat Mark's Picks.
There's a little hesitation there.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Rounding out last week, though, I was a 6-1 winner, as well as Chris. 6-1.
Suck it.
And
wow.
Lee 5-2, and our guest Neil 5-2.
Oh man, so that means I'm tied with Chris.
Yeah, overall record, Lee and Chris tied for first, 29-11, and myself 21-19.
Now it sounds like we may have to recount that once we get the post bowl in.
Yeah, and our guest 9-6 for the season.
Cool beans. All right, so first on the agenda is Team 4 blaming on the alcohol against Team 13. BD in the pocket. I'm going with blame it on the alcohol. A little bit of a higher average, especially with Garrett. So I'm going with them.
Big dick. I got big dick.
Yeah. So you got who you taking, Chris?
BD in the top.
Okay, I'm going to go with Lee. As Lee said, I think blame it on the alcohol. I think they're going to win it this week.
Same here.
And-
I think they are as well.
All right, we got a 3-1. Next, Team 15 OG against Team 3 Wicked Trio. It's unfortunately, Team OG still looking for that third bowler, but they've been getting constant subs. So it hasn't been too many weeks that they've bowled just 2 of them. But I'm going to have to stick with Wicked Trio. They got a solid 3, especially with Larry.
Yeah, this was a tough match for me because you just don't know who's going to show up for OG.
Yeah.
But I will go with OG.
Really? Oh. Why you're losing?
I'm feel bad for these teams.
I got Wicked Trios.
Yeah, I think I'll go with Wicked Trio as well.
Yeah, they're solid. Team 11, that's Ricky and the 2 Mix against Team 8 Pin High.
This is an 84 pin difference.
Damn. I'm pretty sure Pin High's getting that.
Yeah, Pin High 84. That's who I'm going to go with in this match.
I'm going to take a shot and go with Ricky and the 2 Mix. I think I kind of owe it to him. Our team beat them bad the last 2 weeks in a row. So Ricky and the 2 Mix.
That's a hard. I got Ricky and the 2 Mix.
2-1.
Yeah, I'll go Ricky as well. Ricky's always won that game.
Yeah, I think he's going to bounce back. Yeah. All right, my team, Team 1. Who you calling a pinhead against Team 14? My son Leland and Camilla. They're
83 pins.
Wow.
83
I'm going with my team.
I got your team.
That's 2.
I'm going with that last place team.
Leland.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but I think I'll go with Leland as well, the last place team.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna bounce back, I think, too. All right, Team 2, that is House Balls against Team 16, Almost Empty Nest.
This spread is only 10 pins.
Oh, wow, they get that much handicap.
And it's not in favor of the House Balls. It's in favor of Almost Empty Nest.
Yeah, I got House Balls on this one.
I do too.
I think, I'm going to go with House Balls only because I think they're actually a lot higher than what their standings show once they get that post bowl in there. So House Balls.
Yeah, House Balls here.
House Balls, that's a clean sweep. They'll probably lose. All right, Team 12, that's the men in the 10 pin against Team 9, Slate's Rockheads.
Well, what do you think, Jarrod? How many pins do you think you give this team?
As long as we catch them within 10, it doesn't matter.
56 pins.
That's not
bad. That's not bad at all. I'm going to have to go with Slate's Rockheads. They've been on the roll, haven't lost in a month, probably a month and a half. I'm going with Slate.
I got Slate Rockheads only because of Joe Bear. He's he's packing over the team.
Now, there is a podcast curse going, so I will go with Slate's Rockheads here myself.
That way, you guys know where I'm going with. So, Slate's Rockheads.
Clean sweep. All right. Next pair, Team 7, that is the S team, Chris Saunders and Tina and Diego against Team 5, Mark's team, Slate Sloppy Seconds.
107 pins.
You guys are giving them 107? Ooh.
Yep, 107 pins.
I'm going to let the standings speak for themselves. You guys are climbing. You're in third. I'm going to go with your team, Mark. Slate Sloppy Seconds.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Chris.
Man, dang it.
Your best friends.
So I'm 29 and 30.
Oh, yeah, that's another one.
I got my friends. I got the F team.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with the Warrior on this one just because I know Ron's had some up and down weeks, but I feel like this week he's gonna have a solid week.
I second that. All right, last pair, Team 6, 3 fingers deep, currently in first. I know Jared's team's hoping they don't win, but it is against Chris's team.
Oh, man.
So this ought to be a hell of a pick for Jared.
Well, now remember, he's got a ringer in there.
Oh, yeah.
He's got ringer in there.
Oh, my God. He's got ringer envy.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
David Carter bowling. David Carter bowling for Jake. for
Why
Jake.
do you say that? It sounds like with a smile on your face, Chris.
No, I mean I wish Jake was there, but yeah, David Carter
That
just is
handicap management you've been bragging about.
exactly.
Yeah. So they were Jake is 48 pins handicap, and this other guy is
35.
36.
Jesus.
36, 48. So it's a 12-point difference. It's going to be like 27.
Man, I'll tell you what. I'm going to assume Big Rick's bowling. That's a tough match. I mean, that right there is probably Chris Woodmansey's slugfest.
Yeah, it's my favorite pair. My favorite pair.
I would say I'm going to probably go with Woodmansey on this one.
Oh,
good choice.
I can't believe
That guy's a winner. Jarrod wants to win.
You got to pick with your brain, not your heart.
I tell you what, sometimes those practice 300 just come into my decision.
Okay.
Well, Chris, you got another one. I'm going to go with your team as well. That's going to be too much handicap management, I think, against Rick's team.
Well, how I'll go here. If the lights are on, I'll take Rick's team. If the lights are off, I'll go with Chris's team.
So we got to assume they're on. So that means you got Rick?
He's like, no. He's like, no. He's like, no. He's like,
they haven't
big now.
They actually haven't been on, so I'll take Chris's team.
Oh,
yeah. Of course,
a unanimous vote for Chris's team.
That's never happened.
Never happened.
Okay.
That I can say right now that has never happened.
It hasn't happened this season, yes, but it has happened.
Yeah, I need him to win. That's all. I mean, we just need to take 6 more points than.
Yeah. The one time ever that
we're gonna
Jarrod rooted for Chris.
We're losing on purpose. We're you know what? We're actually forfeiting. We're gonna give them all for you.
I can see something like that happening. Chris pulls a no-show that night. All right, that was a fast segment of Beat Mark's Picks. We had to make it quick. We're almost done. Real quick, the bowlers of the week. Jake Albright, as you heard earlier, shot his first 600 ever, one-handed, 119 pins over his average. Kudos to Peyton Estes with a 688. He bowled 100 over his average. And Brian Brimmerman had 90 over his average. So good job. Not a good week for the ladies. A lot of them took the week off because of Halloween. Those that stayed, we only had one bowl over her average. So she made bowler of the week, and that's Miss Anna Marie Davis. She bowled 36 over her average. So good job to her. Currently leading in MVP votes is Sean Taylor. He's got 48 points won. Amanda Cunningham, 36 for the ladies, but it's a tight race. If you want to check out the scores on our standings, look it up at bowl.com.
So that
or our
stuff
Facebook page.
Still up for grab.
It is.
I know it was tough, Jarrod, to be on this podcast this week. Appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem, man. It was only tough for Chris.
Hey, there you go. All the honor scores except Chris.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring our 300 rings down this week to show.
I mean, that's why my hands are so heavy every week, man.
I love it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming to our podcast for episode 69. Thank you for tuning in and listening to our little guy chat and our mumble talks and great community of trios we have here. Tune in next time as you see my team is whooping on the Rick the Dick's team. And I prove everyone that my team is a winner. I'm a winner. All right. That my 300 will come true one day in this league. So tune in next time for that. If you do not tune in, you'll be like at practice 300.
Only in practice, like in fantasy.
Yeah, I hate you.
All right. Jarrod, thanks again for coming on the podcast, being our guest tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank you, guys.
see y'all tomorrow.
We certainly hope you still got a job on Tuesday.
Yes, we hope. Thank you,
Yes,
Jarrod.
we definitely have to have you back again in the future.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Be safe.
Thank you. Y'all
Thank
have
you.
a good night.
Later.
See you tomorrow.